What's up, guys? Welcome to another video with your boy Aaron, and today I'm going to be reacting to the Sleepover scary story. As you saw in the thumbnail and the title, I'm going to be reacting to that. And if you wondered that I watch anime and you're not in my school, yep, I do watch anime. But anyway, let's get to the scary sleepover story. Yeah. Alright, guys, so let's start the video.
George yawned. He was obviously bored. He'd agreed to come round mine for a sleepover because I was new at school, and he wanted to see what kind of house I lived in, get a sense of what I was like. But I could tell he was already regretting the decision. I thought you...
That is some crazy room. It's messy, too. My room messy, too, but... I mean... Yeah, that room is messy. And what is... Y'all saw that skull? Hold on, let me go back.
And he wanted to see what kind of house I lived in, get a sense of what I was like.
Is he in the army?
But I could tell he was already regretting...
Is he like a little kid, but he's like... Was he a man, but then he turned into a little kid? That's why he got on the army. Or is he into the army? It looks like he read a lot of books and stuff. They're playing games too. But I'm going to keep recording because y'all probably just want to see the video.
The decision. I thought you said you had a PS4. George's eyes flicked around the bedroom, as if he was hoping the console would magically appear from somewhere. We'd been upstairs since dinner. It explored my room, and we chatted for a bit, then watched some random shows on Netflix. Things were going okay at first, but as the last light bled out of the day and the sky...
They Netflix and chilling out here. I mean, it's quarantine. Yeah, they're not supposed to be together. I'm just kidding, it's just an animation.
Outside darkened. I could tell George was losing interest. That was when I suggested we do something a bit different. Nah, I don't have one, I said. Sorry. Are you still up for having a go at this game, though?
Look, scary.
What? Telling each other stories. Isn't that little kid stuff? George glanced at the watch on his wrist. I followed his gaze. George's watch was the first thing I noticed about him. He sits in front of me in English, and I spotted the watch after a ray of sunlight glinted off its face and caught my eye. It's a really nice watch. Most of the kids in my year have digital watches, those blocky ones that light up when you press a button on the side. But George's watch was different, more adult. It was one of the reasons I'd picked George to invite over. Hey, can I try your watch on? George looked up at me and frowned. What? Your watch. Can I try it on? It's really...
Wait, which one? Which is who? I forgot.
Nice. George stared at me for a second longer.
So that's George.
Sorry. I don't let anyone try my watch on. My dad says I'm not allowed. He glanced around the room once more, his eye going from the door to the dark window. He sighed. Okay, let's play this dumb game then. What do I have to do? Ignore...
George don't even look scary. He looks scary right now. Like, George's not even that scary. Just saying.
The bored look on his face, I smiled. It's really easy. We just take turns telling each other a scary story. Like, the scariest story you can possibly think of. Then, whoever's is the scariest wins the game. George rolled his eyes. I don't know any scary...
Is it my turn to tell a scary story? Can I tell one first? You know, I'm good at telling scary stories. I'm not. Alright.
Scary stories. Besides, I think I might get some sleep soon. I'm pretty tired. Come on. Just one each. You must know at least one scary story. Everyone Everyone does. Plus, I know loads of good ones. I watched George's face for a reaction. Unless you're one of those kids that frightens easily, that is, then I guess you might not like the game.
Well,
it was a
I get frightened easily. No, I don't. I'm just kidding. I'm not scared. Oh, shoot. I thought someone was moving over there on the camera. But I'm still not scared.
But George bid. I'm not scared of anything. I've watched horror films with my big brother that are rated 18. We even found one on YouTube that's been banned, and I still watched it. I didn't say anything. I just looked back at George and smiled. After a few seconds, he let out another sigh. Fine, let's play a stupid game then. But after you're done failing to scare me, that's it. I'm going to bed. George went first. His story wasn't bad, in fairness. It was one he said his uncle told him a couple of years back. Nothing I hadn't heard before. Basically, there are two kids, and one of them gets hit by a car and dies. After the funeral, the mother gives the surviving kid some money to go get liver from the store. Something to cook up for dinner.
Oh.
Because he's sick in the head, though, the kid pockets the money, digs up his brother, and removes his liver instead. Then, later that night, the dead brother rises from his grave to come and get...
What am I watching? What the heck? Yeah, he got messed up in the head from that incident. Yeah, that's just crazy, man.
The kid in his sleep. It's a decent enough story, but I'd heard it 100 times already. I didn't let on, though. I made all the right faces and jumped at the right parts. George got quite into it. He gestured his arms and his watch glinted in the light from my bedside lamp. His blonde hair spilled across his forehead. He was so into the story, he didn't seem to notice. After it was over, he sat back and grinned. I thought you were going to start crying at one point, he said. You might as well give up now anyway. I'm not scared of anything. I looked across the room at him.
I don't know about that.
The house was quiet now and had been for a few hours. When we'd first come upstairs, there was still noise coming from below. The faint sound of the TV in the lounge. The rattle of plates being put away in the kitchen.
I'm wondering myself, why am I petting this? It's just a toy.
And now, there was only silence. Beyond the bedroom window, tree branches rustled in the wind. The occasional car passed by on the road outside. That was it. I grinned at George. So,
that's a creepy...
You're not scared of anything at all?
That is a creepy grin right there. That's creepy.
Nope.
I'm not scared of anything.
Nothing.
Oh, he's not scared
Not
of anything
even stories that are true. George let out a bark of laughter. Ha! Nice try. Just hurry up and get it over with, will you? I'm already bored. Okay, fine. My story's about a family, I began.
All right.
A family that looks normal enough on the outside, but isn't really normal at all. George rolled his eyes again. He was starting to annoy me quite a lot by now, but I didn't.
I'm trying to wonder, why is it called a scary story? It's not really the scary part. They're just telling each other scary stories. So I wonder what's the scary part. Keep watching. Stay tuned to see the scary part.
I just carried on with the story as if I hadn't noticed. This family moves around a lot. They never stay in one place for too long. They can't, you see. The family's good at disguising themselves. They're good at hiding their secret. But they still can't go taking risks. If they stayed in one place for more than a week, they might get found out. Someone might discover what they really are. So, what are they then? George asked. I wanted to tell George not to interrupt, to just sit still and listen to the story, but I bit down the urge. Instead, I just grinned at him.
Creepy grin.
The family
just saying.
are monsters, I said. They're all monsters. They travel from town to
I feel like
town,
this is the scary part.
and they leave a trail of dead kids wherever they go. I paused, expecting George to interrupt me again, but he didn't. He only stared back at me with a dull, blank expression. The family has a very specific way of doing things, I continued. When they move into a new area, they find a house that's been left unoccupied. Not a completely empty house, just one where the people that normally live there are off on holiday or something. One that'll be empty for a week or two. The family doesn't need long. A couple of weeks suits them just fine. So, they break into this house, and then they go about setting the trap. It's their own kid they use. They send him off to make friends in the neighborhood, round the nearby parks, maybe off to the local school under a fake name. Tell him to get to know the other kids. The family is hungry by this point. Really badly hungry. But they don't do anything just yet. They've learned to be patient.
Okay.
I paused and took a breath. This was a story I'd told before, but I found I liked it more and more with each retelling. The trick was not to rush, though. You had to savor it. I'd opened the bedroom window when we first came upstairs, and now a draft of cold air blew in. It ruffled the curtains behind George.
Trying to make him real
Tree
scared.
branches shook in the garden outside.
Do y'all see that? Isn't that from Adventure Times, right? Dad. What the heck? Or is it just like a game thing? I don't know.
The leaves whispering to each other. George watched me, not saying anything. I had his attention. The kid's parents don't have to wait long, I continued. They never do. They've trained the kid well, you see. He's not just a victim in all this. He may only be young, but he knows how the game works.
I'm trying to think that he's part of that crazy family that he's telling about. I'm starting to think.
The family has been in the area for a little while, a few days, maybe a week at most. The kid makes his choice. He picks a new friend to invite back to their house. The parents give him an incentive too. He's still too young to share the tastes they have. They tell him that's something he'll only acquire when he gets older. But he still gets something out of it. What does he get out of it? George's eyes were fixed on mine as his knees began to fidget. He gets the other kids' stuff, I replied. Whoever he picks, he gets to keep all their belongings after his parents are finished with them. Somewhere in the house below us, a door slammed. George's eyes flicked away from mine towards the bedroom door, then back again. I smiled at him. So, George kept his eyes on me as he tried to formulate the question. So, what exactly do the parents do with the kids they take? Oh, they eat them, I replied. They eat their insides. They tear the kids open while they're still screaming, and they pull out their guts and intestines by the handful. Wolf everything down until there's nothing left but a husk. I grinned.
This video give me crazy vibes. Crazy. It's just crazy. But look at his face. Look like he Asian. I don't know why.
Somewhere below us, a floorboard creaked. The sound was faint and muffled, and I don't think George heard it. Can you imagine what someone looks like when they've had everything inside them removed? They hardly even look like a person at all. It's like the stuff a snake leaves behind when it sheds its skin. The glow from the bedside lamp made George's skin look pale. His lips were slightly parted as he stared at me. But how do they get away with it, he asked. Don't the parents of the kids that get taken come looking for them the next day, when their kids don't show up back home? I grinned back at George. I'd been hoping he'd ask this. Oh, the family's long gone by that point, I said. They vanish like shadows in the night. The only thing they take with them is the remains of the dead kid. And when their parents come looking for them the next day, all they find is a locked house that belongs to somebody else. Another floorboard creaked. It was louder this time. We both heard it. The sound had come from the corridor outside the bedroom. George's eyes darted in the direction of the door. What was that? Oh, that was nothing, I lied. Probably just the house settling. There's nothing to be scared of, George.
See, don't y'all agree with me? I think he's part of that family that he's talking about. Like, I mean, he looks crazy. He looks ugly. He's part of the family. He has to be. He has to be. He has to be.
The watch on his wrist, and imagine what it would look like on mine.
Dang.
From the corridor outside,
he just want that
came
watch.
the soft sound.
I think all he wants is that watch. That's why he brought the kid there, so that his parents can eat him, and then he can get possession of the watch.
Of approaching footsteps.
I told y'all, he's part of that family. Bro, that's crazy, bro. That's crazy. This is one of the craziest animations I ever watched. No, it's not. I watch scarier animations, but anyway, guys, if you want me to do more animations like this, scary animations, put it in the description below. And 1 out of 5, tell me how scary this animation was to you guys. 1 out of 5. Put it in the comments. And say if you like, it feels like okay, not scary at all. And say if you agree with me that you already knew that from the beginning that he was in that crazy family. But anyway, thank you guys for watching this video. Like and subscribe. Please like this video. Turn on the notification bells so you don't miss out in any of my videos. And guys, peace out. Peace.
Kick